I'm Larry Berry, Program Director for the Beaver Watershed Alliance. The Alliance is a nonprofit on a mission to proactively protect, enhance, and sustain the water quality of Beaver Lake and the integrity of its watershed. Farmers and agricultural producers have a large role to play in water quality protection. Today I'm joining you from eastern Washington County at the Mashie Farm to highlight some soil health practices for grazing systems that are not only easy to implement, they also have some economic benefits for landowners.
My name's Emily Jost. I'm with Mashie Farm. This is a family farm of ours started by my parents in Goshen, Arkansas. My sister and I now run it. We've got 40 head of cattle, mama cows that we raise cow-calf and then grow out beef for straight to consumer. And then we've got 24 ewes who lamb, and also we raise those lambs out for lamb meat for our community. About 4 years ago, we started implementing intensive grazing, and that is where we allow the grass a lot of time to rest by rotating the cattle every day. The sheep we rotate twice a week, so not as often, but we're still trying to move them quickly, so the grass has at least 45 days of rest. That allows the roots plenty of time to strengthen in the soil and reduce the runoff that's going into Richland Creek and then into the Beaver Lake. This time of year, we're in transition mode. We spent most of the winter, starting in about December, bale grazing and unrolling our hay. So with that, we're really trying to focus on spreading the nutrients from the cattle and from the hay throughout the farm. That's a free fertilizer for us. And we get the manure throughout the pasture, and it helps cover up any bare spots that may have found their way to the pasture throughout the year. So that way we're getting something on the ground when the rain falls. It's not running away, but it's being absorbed, given time to absorb into the ground. A couple years ago, we worked to install new watering points. We were before relying strictly on our ponds. And those are great water storage, but we really needed to get water in our pastures, so the cattle didn't have to travel as far to get to water, which then causes lanes which erode away as well with the compacted soil and all of the soil that's there. So we installed 5 different water tanks. So the cattle have it within their 5 acres. They can walk to water and then spend more time grazing, and we can move even quicker that way because they're using less energy. Prior to this, we were doing a lot of baling of hay on this land and taking away the nutrients and not really replenishing as much. So in the last 4 years since taking over, we've focused on, we're no longer baling hay here, we're just grazing. And we've seen a huge improvement in the quantity of forage, also the diversity. You know, with 45 days of rest, the ground really has time to create a huge amount of forage that the cattle can then come, hit really quick as they graze, and then move on, and then the grass stand is left healthy and ready for the next rotation.
Landowners can adopt better practices for soil health, for improving soil health, by starting out to understand what is the situation of the land, what the soil type is, what the water infiltration rates are, what the history of the place is, the slope and so forth. And based on that information, they can start implement certain practices. So the number one thing is certainly that landowners should thrive for a permanent soil cover that can be achieved with perennial forages. Annual forages for certain pasture and grazing practices are certainly an option, especially during the summertime, during droughty periods. But we would recommend that farmers always seek to enhance or improve the area, increase the area with a permanent forage base. You want to improve the amount of root mass, and that usually works by letting the plant grow up longer over time. So rotational stocking is a good example for that. The animals eat for how long, how much you think it's appropriate for that particular forage base.
As part of my work with NCAT, we encourage livestock producers to use managed grazing. Managed grazing gives the power to the farmer to control where the animals are grazing, for how long, and that helps us spread the fertility evenly, which saves money on fertilizer. It helps us to get the animals off the plants so that they regrow very quickly, which results in more total pounds of forage over the course of the season. And that means more pounds of animals for sale, more money in the bank. It is also great for the environment. It helps protect water quality, and it's just a win-win for the farmers, the animals, and the watershed. Over the years, I've heard a lot of different terms for what we are now calling regenerative grazing, but rotational grazing, managed intensive grazing, regenerative grazing, adaptive grazing. In my mind, they're all the same thing. You can concentrate the animals in a small place, let them graze for a short time, keep them off until the plants have fully recovered, which improves the roots, and it helps make that soil into a sponge, because the biological activity from those roots and the way that the plants can photosynthesize just builds a stronger, more resilient system over time. You can call it what you want. I call it good grazing, and we really want to encourage that. One of the ways that we help people protect natural resources is through our Soil for Water project, and we would encourage landowners to join us at soilforwater.org, where farmers are helping each other learn practices that improve their soil health so that our soil becomes like a sponge, able to capture and hold water. It helps mitigate floods. It helps us in rainy times to not have runoff or lose fertility, and it really helps us in the drought to have water for our crops.
The Alliance offers free site visits to farmers and producers of any scale across the watershed, so we can help you implement the practices that we've seen here today, and we can also help connect you to financial and technical resources in your area. Contact us at 479-750-8007, or send us an email to info@beaverwatershedalliance.org.